morning. Good morning. I'm just sending all my love and energy to you. I so wish you were in this sanctuary with us. And it's all right. It's all right. I have faith. I have so much faith that I will be seeing you soon on campus. I mean to tell you what. And that's what I'm here to talk about this morning. This thing called faith. So, almost a month ago, I have something that wants to come out, and it's getting stuck right here. So, hang on a second. I need some water. Because I'm not letting fear get stuck in me. Water, whatever it takes. Excuse me. You know, when something like that happens, that's a sign. Our body tells us things. I am not letting fear get stuck in me. Almost a month ago now, there was something that got very much triggered inside of me. An event happened, and boy, did I get triggered. And this thing has come up for me several times over the past few years. And I felt how triggered I was. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is just, have you ever felt like I am so tired of this trigger button being punched and I just want to get rid of it? So I knew that I am the one who had to look at it. I'm the only one that could do something about it. And I knew that it was about something inside of me, and I wasn't going to allow myself to project it outside of me anymore and sort of wreak havoc. So I finally had the courage to look and not let fear get in my way. I called up someone, a practitioner that I know and that I trust. And I said, I'm being triggered and I need to do something about this. And what I know about this practitioner, this licensed practitioner, we have licensed spiritual coaches here at CSLDallas. What I know about this one, particular one, is that this practitioner loves to use a process called fear to faith. In fact, anytime I've ever called this person up, this person has used that process on me called fear to faith. Now, I first learned about fear to faith in 2007 when I took foundations class. That's where it all begins. And I went through a fear to faith process. And you have an opportunity to get in foundations class starting Thursday, February 25th with our licensed practitioner, Tracy Brown. She is a brilliant instructor of foundations, so you can take it in the daytime or the night. So that is something I'm telling you, get in that class so you can experience the fear to faith process and a lot of other things. So what is fear? Now, everything that I'm sharing today is, I'm giving all the credit to Ernest Holmes in The Science of Mind. Truly. So, what is fear? Ernest Holmes tells us that fear is nothing more than the negative use of faith. I want you to hear that. So, fear, nothing more, nothing less than the negative use of faith. It's literally fear misplaced. And what the misplace of it is that there's this belief that there are two powers instead of one. And there's not. So a belief that there can be a power that is actually opposed to God or spirit, this universal presence, this thing itself, whose influences and ability may bring about evil, not, some evil force, but can bring things about. And that's just misplaced faith. So in other words, to correct all the evils of the world, we would only need to have positive faith. Wow. So when we have faith that is rightly placed, a faith that lays hold of the integrity of the universe, when it's just so rightly placed within us that the goodness of God, that the unity of all life is in existence, that there's only one thing happening, then we have placed faith in its proper place. We cannot have faith in that which we do not have some measure and understand, Ernest Holmes tells us. So we have to have this understanding of this thing called faith. And there's lots of different understandings about faith, but I want you to have an understanding of faith that will absolutely change everything in your life and everything around us. Okay? So here's what faith is not. From Ernest Holmes' perspective, it is not dogma. Faith is not a creed. Faith is not a statement of being. What's your faith? What faith do you belong to? We're not talking about that. It's what he says is faith is a certain mental approach to reality or towards the universe. That's what faith is, a certain mental approach. And that certain approach is an affirmative approach as opposed to a negative one. And it is agreement as opposed to denial. That's what faith is. So again, he tells us that faith is this affirmative mental attitude towards the universe. And this includes everything, including ourselves. We can't leave me out of it, or you. Okay? So when you have faith in yourself, when you have faith in humanity, when you have faith in the universe, when you have faith in God, that faith will light the place in which you find yourself in any situation, any circumstance, wherever it is. It's going to light it up, and you will be able to see that whatever's happening in that moment, that all is good. And that light that's shed by this faith that I'm talking about will light the way for others in a way that it never has before. If you look in the glossary of the Science of Mind textbook, 1938 edition, and you look up what is the definition as defined by Holmes, he says, faith is a mental attitude so inwardly embodied that the mind can no longer deny it. He says faith is complete when it is both a conscious and a subjective acceptance. In spiritual terminology, faith means belief in the presence of an invisible principle and law. We can't see it, never seen it. It's an invisible principle and law which directly and specifically responds to each of us. I've never seen God either. I have faith in God, right? So it responds to us specifically. I love this, that faith is a law, that faith is a principle. He calls it the law of faith. Imagine that. So this faith is this mental attitude which actually takes hold of the substance. So there is some substance that I am thinking of, and I'm taking hold of it. And I hold it so much, which exists. I hold it. I know that it exists, and it brings it right before the eyes of me, the person. And it shows its evidence. And that's the evidence, as it's here, that the thing existed all along. And it's evidence of my faith that I have placed in that thing that's right now unseen, in this substance, this divine oceanic substance, but because of the faith, that inward, right, belief that I have, it has form. And that is proof of my faith, as the form is here now, that it actually existed all along. I imagine that the Wright brothers had faith that somehow they could fly like a bird. And they held on to this mental picture, this idea, this thought, I fly like a bird. And they did not let go of that. They had faith that they could fly like a bird. And they kept holding that inwardly. And then they started working on it, and they did not let go of that, right? Until eventually, it didn't happen the first time. I don't think it happened probably the 14th time. But eventually, fly like bird. It proved their faith that they could fly. So, faith also equals this mental attitude against which there is no longer any contradiction in the mind that enters it. So once I have this, I must hold it to the level that there is no contradiction coming up within me. There's no existence that that's not true. I hold that in my mind. And I hold that, and I keep working it, and I keep working it until my mind no longer rejects it, that this is true. And it must penetrate at a level of our inner consciousness. This is not some surface level stuff I'm talking about. It's like we're holding the faith. So let's see. Let's try one thing. Do you have faith that the sun will set tonight? Anybody? There's a few in here. I'm asking for them to. There we go. So there's, doesn't that seem like, wow, but of course, I have faith that the sun will go down tonight, it's going to get dark. I have faith. There is nothing within me, within the inside of Karen, that's going to reject that thought. I have so much faith that actually I don't think about that, Of course the sun is going to set tonight. So something's going to happen here at some point this morning that y'all don't know about. That's not ever happened here in Oscar's life before. So I'm going to talk to Oscar for a second. He's sitting right over here. And so Oscar, well, here's what I need you to do right now. I need you to have the faith. I need you to have the faith that you can actually bend steel. Steel, like a rod of steel. I need you to start having the faith within your own mind's eye that no matter what, you can actually bend steel. Okay? Very important. Begin to work that, and then anything unlike it, it's not entering your mind. If it does, I have faith that I bend steel. I bend steel. So we each need to hold and keep a mental attitude until there is no longer any contradiction in our minds to deny this, whatever this is. For it's very important to ensure that then that faith moves mountains, and whatever it is here. My favorite quote from Ernest Holmes on faith, it's my own, I hold this as my own personal definition, is that faith is a mental attitude which is so convinced of its own ideas, which so completely accepts it, that any contradiction is unthinkable and impossible. So when I want to have faith that I can do something, that I have faith that something's going to work out, that I have faith that something will manifest, once I have a mental equivalent of it, that this within me so fully accepts it that any contradiction is unthinkable and it's impossible. Now this works on our own individualized expression on our own life, and it works in a collective life. What do we have faith in humanity about? What faith do you hold about humanity and how humanity shows up? And then when you have that, and I hope it's something affirmative and positive, that anything unlike it, doesn't matter how humanity shows up, no matter what's messy on the street, no matter what hadn't come forth yet, no matter, but anything unlike what I am holding for humanity or you are holding for humanity is unthinkable and impossible. Doesn't matter what keeps popping up. There it is again. If I keep going, there it is again. See, I knew it. There it is again. Yep, see, I knew it. There it is again. That's the wolf I'm feeding. There it is again. But when something happens, I go, I have faith in humanity. I have faith in humanity that we know how to create a world that works for everyone, for all. I have faith in that. What do I have faith about how this planet can restore itself, rejuvenate itself, take care of itself? It did long before we came along. So what do we have faith in? You see, this kind of faith will not be denied. It will not take no for an answer. Take a breath. The other thing that can come in with this is that Holmes tells us is that because we fail to realize that principle is not bound by precedent, we limit our faith to that which has already been accomplished. And because we do that, few miracles result. So it does not matter what humanity has done, for example, all these times, all these centuries, all these decades, all these lifetimes. It does not matter that precedent at all. My faith is not bound by that. Your faith is not bound by that. Anything that's happened in my life, all the times that I didn't do something right, or every time I said I wouldn't do that again, and there I am again. Oh, I'm going to work on that. I'm still working on it. I can have faith because my life is not bound by any precedent. I can show up for me differently. Doesn't matter if I've betrayed myself for 50 some odd years. I can stop. I can have faith. So faith looks to the invisible, and instead of seeing a void, it fastens its gaze upon something solid, a solid reality within me, right? So it's not hope, it's substance. So, this faith does not look away from itself, being substance. It looks within itself. So we must each look within ourselves. And in doing so, we realize that the life of God, the life of Spirit, is also the life within each of us. And this kind of faith affirms this over and over and over again. Whenever I want to think two, I affirm the one. Whenever something happens in my life and it seems like it's two, I affirm the one. And I ensure that I don't think about things that contradict that. So it's time for each of us to have an active faith. to get like active faith alive in each of us. See, this active faith is knowing from direct experience. Come on up, Candace. It's this direct experience that a theory that I'm talking about can be proved. Like this faith can be proved. It involves keeping our heart high and the truth that Spirit works in each and every one of us alive. And it's like, I liken it to, and maybe because I'm a Leo, I don't know, but I liken it to having a heart of a lion. Like one that never gives up. This heart of the lion, if you ever watched a lion, it does not let fear lead. It goes after things bigger than it. It goes after it tenaciously. It has an idea that I have the courage to be that, and it just roars through it, right? And it doesn't let fear lead. Faith leads a lion. And so I'm just so grateful that Candace is going to share this beautiful song, Heart of a Lion, with each of us. So I invite you to take this in.
Living for tomorrow only takes away today. Paralyzed by sorrow, I pray you find another way. Can we be happy like children? They're not afraid to lose their way. And if they walk in the wrong direction, they will never go astray. No, no, 'cause when I sing with the heart of a lion, nothing can stand in my way. And when I sing, it awakens my desires. It takes my fears away. Oh, it takes my fears away, 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 away. Takes my fears away. Oh, it takes my fears away, 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 away. Takes my fears away. Ooh, you say you ain't a hero. Gotta lose your way. Ooh, if this is your Goliath, then you gotta see it through. Oh, don't let the light of hope go out. Maybe you don't know. So many people need you, and they're praying you won't let go. No, no, 'cause when I sing with the heart of a lion, nothing can stand in my way. 'Cause when I sing, it awakens my desires. It takes my fears away. Oh, it takes my fears away, 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 away. Takes my fears away. Oh, takes my fears away, 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 away. Takes my fears away. You are the soul of the universe. Everything good in life. You make everything beautiful. And now, I never have to think twice. I never have to think twice. Oh, yeah. Ah, yeah. Everything good in my life. Everything good in my life. You are the soul of the universe. And now I never have to think twice.
Woo! Yes. Thank you, Candace. Oh my gosh. Yes. So, yes, you never have to think twice. You never have to think two. Think one. See, this active faith is this inner knowing. And it's real. It's real. It cannot die. Now, sometimes, like, I don't know, there have been times in my life where I lose sight of this. And these times are typically under stress. But the good news is it's always there. And it works for us all the time. So we're going to see about it, putting it to work right now. I'm going to ask Oscar to come up here. Oscar's going to put on his mask. We're going to do this safely. All right? Hang with me, y'all. I got my face shield on. Something's about to happen. So, Oscar, I'm going to ask you to have some faith that you can bend steel. Have you ever done anything like this before? Has anybody ever put something like this solid piece of steel in front of you? It's solid. It's going to hurt something. Not right now, but it could, right? So here's what Oscar and I are going to do. Oscar, I want you to have pure faith. I want you to have faith in what you trust and what you believe, that the universe is for your good, right? Universe is for your good. I'm for your good. And consider me life itself. This law of faith works in your favor. I've only done this once in my life, and Oscar's never done this. So Oscar, I'm going to ask you to just hold that for a second. Let's make sure we have plenty of good room here, that we're not going to trip on anything. Then what Oscar and I are about to do is there's this small, feel it on your own neck right now. The place right above where all the bones are, it's like this hollow spot. It's really soft. Like if you touch it, you go, that's it. That's the spot. Okay, Oscar and I are going to put this right there. You feel that, Oscar? Yeah, it's there, isn't it? Oscar, what I'm going to ask you to do is on go. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, go. On go, you are walking towards me. Have faith that we come together and we bend this steel rod with our necks. Okay? I want you to put your dominant foot back. And you're just going to lean in there. Now I want you to bring your hands up here. Very important. We're not going to hold it. I'm just doing this for right now while I talk. But you must keep, and take your thumbs, there you go. You must keep that at all times. Okay? Right there. Now, don't let it rest too long because it'll bruise the neck. The other thing I'm going to ask Oscar is you can't be half-assed on your faith. I mean it. If one leans into faith half-assed, we're going to have a messy thing up here on the platform today. Okay? If anything should happen, someone dial 911, please, immediately. All right? But you can't be half-assed on your faith. You got to come full faith, 100%. Do you believe that you can bend steel with me, with this rod? Okay. Thank you. And I just need silence now. No one needs to say anything, do anything. Oscar and I are here with ourselves here. We're going to do it on go. I know you know that. And don't back off, okay? That wouldn't be good for either one of us. So I promise you, I'm giving you 100%. You going to give me 100%? Yes. Okay. One, two, three, go. There we go. We may try this once more, but we may not. %. Gee. 1, 2, 3, go. Push. No, off of it. We're not doing it. That's all right. That's all right. We didn't do it, but that's okay. We didn't get hurt. It bent, but it didn't bend all the way. And that's okay. That's not a failure. What I love is Ernest Holmes tells us that when we become engulfed by negative or undesirable circumstances, that was undesirable, it didn't work, right? One or two things usually happen. We either use our faith or we lose our faith. So I'm not going to lose my faith. I'm not going to lose my faith that I'm able to do that. Today just wasn't the day. And I knew that. And it's not either one of us. But there's this thing that we have to grow in our faith. And we don't have the energy of this sanctuary. I'm just realizing that. We don't have the energy of this sanctuary. And I hadn't thought of that until this moment. Because group energy builds things. And it was strictly on mine and Oscar's shoulders right then to have faith in one another. But the time I did this before, I was in a group of people that had faith that we could do this. And they grew it, and we grew it, and we grew that faith, and it was so high. Together we rise. This is why our theme is Together We Rise, right? That together there is so much more we can create and we can do than we can do on our own. And if anything else, that's the message for me today. This is why I miss every single one of us in this sanctuary, because the energy in this sanctuary is palpable. And yes, Candace and Candy and Matt and Jonathan and Brad and Oscar and Petra and Karen and Ryan in the booth. And, we can do that, but it's nothing compared to the energy that when we rise together collectively. I'm just grateful neither one of us got hurt, right? That's going to be bruised for a little bit for me. I want to share with you something in the chapter on faith from the Science of Mind textbook about this thing called active faith. And it's to have the faith of God. Peter mentioned this last Sunday, to have the faith of God instead of merely the faith in God. That is so different, to have the faith of God. And that helps me a lot of times. I go, wow, what is the faith of God? What is that faith of God right now? And I bet you if there was anybody pulling back today, it was me. We can keep doing that, or we cannot. It's time to have active faith in our life, of who we are, and what we came here to do and who we came here to be. To know that under this divine law, all things are possible. And sometimes that faith doesn't just spring full-orbed. Ernest Holmes says, it grows, and it grows. And so we can each grow our faith. We can each grow our faith, especially in our growing edge things. Like if maybe your growing edge is that really humanity is going to get their stuff together, it's time to grow in that faith. If it's like, I really don't think I'm going to find my soulmate in this lifetime or have a partner that I can rely on, it's time for you to grow that faith. If you want to have that singing career where you can just do whatever you want and you're singing, it's time for you to grow that faith. When Jesus explains to his disciples that they had failed to heal because of the lack of faith, they protested that they did have faith in God. Jesus explained to them that this was insufficient. They must have the faith of God. The faith of God is very different from a faith in God. The faith of God is God. And somewhere along the line of our spiritual evolution, this transition will gradually take place, Holmes tells us, where we shall cease having a faith in something, and we shall have a faith of God. And always, in such degree as this happens, a demonstration takes place. I'm not going to lose faith. And I'm not going to lose faith in my ability to do that and lead that process. Because that was the first time I attempted that. I didn't practice this with Oscar. So when something doesn't work out for you the first time, it's time to grow some faith. It's time to have the faith of God. To have that active faith, to have faith in yourself, to have faith in humanity, to have faith in the universe, to have the faith of God. Because as we each have that faith is the light of the world. It changes everything, literally. To know that all is good and that all is God. And then we let this light of this faith light the ways for others. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to get today that the energy of us collectively is what significantly changes things. We miss you deeply and dearly. Hold on to the faith that humanity gets through this. Hold on to the faith that COVID is a no thing. Hold on to the faith that we come back together on this campus once and for all. Hold on to the faith that there is no precedent for your good in your life. And so I'm going to invite the band up. We're going to sing our way out of this. We appreciate you being patient with us today. Have faith that we can figure out everything we need to know so that we not only live stream on Facebook, but we live stream to YouTube and we live stream on our website. Have the faith, because we're going to get there as fast as we can. And in the meantime, each Sunday, after the Sunday celebration, you can touch in with our licensed practitioners. You can ask them about this fear to faith process that changed my life recently, again. Go into the Zoom room and get a prayer, an affirmative prayer with them. And then, if you'd like to, or in addition to, come on to our family community connection time right after the Sunday celebration. It's a great way to have coffee with one another, talk about, hey, what happened? What did you think when that didn't work for Oscar and Karen? Where's your faith? Where does your faith come from? And we'll see you online and next Sunday. Bye for now.
Love can move the world as the moon in the sky moves the sea. Love can conquer wars to cease. Love can move this world to peace. It's a time that begins with you and me. Love can move the world as the warmth of the sun moves the trees. Feel the wind of love increase as we move this world to peace. Come love the world with me.